I have no problem, and I also have no problem with a privately held business, whether it's Apple or Microsoft or a local car dealership, saying that if you don't get the vaccination, you can't come to work. Boy, you're going to open up the lawsuits like crazy. But guys, I don't care.
No.
Bring
I
the
think you're
lawsuits on.
I think you're on fine footing here. But it does bring up that other point that I think we probably need to discuss here, because there is a line that I refuse to cross. Okay, I am not about to show anybody my vaccine card unless I have to do it for a governmental reason like getting a passport. Aside from that, you're not going to see it, and I'm not going to show it to you. I don't care who you are.
What
I
about if
am
a
not about to
restaurant
get it.
says you
I'm
have to
not
show it
about
to
to
come
get
into
into
my
my
restaurant?
papers, please. That is not going to happen, Ed.
Okay, but wait a minute. It's not
No,
your papers, John.
no, it is my papers.
It's
And
not. Come
I'm
on.
not about, yeah, because that is a can of worms that you don't want to open here. I think that is a legal can of worms, a constitutional can of worms. It really smacks of tyrannical, government here. I mean, this is interference in people's lives that I think is really bad. Ed, I think it is absolutely awful.
I
I
see.
mean,
I see no problem. If I go to a restaurant and somebody says to me, "I'd like
oh,
to see
hell,
your
that.
proof of vaccination," here
No
you go.
way.
Here,
No.
it's on my
What
phone. I'll
about
show it to you. I'm
what
okay.
about to go to a football game? I mean, look, the SoFi Stadium here in
Absolutely.
LA opens up on Saturday. Rams Chargers. LA County is debating an indoor, mask mandate and a vaccination mandate.
Mhm.
For me to get in, if they do that, I'm going to have to show my card. I got to prove somehow. I can't show my
That
arm.
falls under that falls under personal. That falls under, again. That's sort of like my stance on the vaccine. If they ask you to do it and you choose to do it, that is a personal decision of yours. To mandate the vaccine card for certain things. Look, you have people now who are saying that in order to vote, you have to produce your vaccine card. Okay, and they're using the
Where?
same logic. They're using the exact same logic. It becomes a poll tax.
Yeah,
Where?
I haven't seen that where they're asking for
Oh
a
yeah.
vaccine card. They want identification, which I have no problem having.
Oh
having
no! Now they're saying no, you can't show up at the polls unless you have a vaccine card. I mean,
Where?
it has. Well, okay, I'd have to dig up the story. I'll dig up the story if you want. I mean, there's a political person who said that they want to put forth a bill in the U.S. Congress that says that you have to show up. So again, this is what I'm saying. I get.
Well,
You
if we
can do
just
it
had the
when it's
remote voting, like a lot of people want and works these days, although some people say that it's illegal and it's rife with graft. If we only had that, then we could stop that too. That's another.
Oh,
yeah.
I just got my text. I'm getting my ballot for the recall. It'll be to my house in 6 or 7 days. I'll vote however I vote in the recall for Newsom in California. You can vote from home or a million other places. I mean, look, we show our passports at the airport to travel to Canada, to other
That's a
places.
foreign country. That's different.
So are you okay showing your card of Canada? If you want to go to Canada, and they say you got to prove it?
Me, do I have to show my passport to get on a plane to LA? Is that what you're asking me here?
No, I'm asking you. If
No, I
you
think
want
he's
to get,
talking about another country. If another country says you have to show
Well,
vaccination,
that's another country. That's not the United States.
but what's the
Gulf
difference between them and Bob's Restaurant? Like, if you open a restaurant and you want people to be vaccinated, how are you going to verify? We certainly know we can't trust them.
Well, I mean, again, if it's voluntary, that's one thing. If
well,
it's
look,
mandatory, if it's mandated, that's a different issue. In terms of getting a driver's license, in terms of being able to, what we not consider more or less non-voluntary, things of that nature. You can't get married unless you produce a vaccination card. Oh, come on.
see, I guess here's the difference. If I'm going in and if somebody asks me for it, I'm not offended. I'll show it to them. I think that restaurants and theaters and places like that should mandate that you must wear a mask before you come into the building. But then again, if you go into a restaurant, you're going to take the mask off anyway. But at least you're trying to stop some sort of a spread throughout the
That's where you
building.
and I are we done on a we split. I don't care if shouldn't have to. A business should not have to. If they choose not to have masks, they choose not to have masks. They choose not to ask for vaccine. Again, this is a business issue. It's a private issue. If they want to have anybody comes, anybody goes. It's not
But they should be
business.
allowed to do it, though, right?
Yes.
I mean, okay, they should be
Yeah,
allowed to do
I
it.
mean,
If you want to see my
you
card,
can't
okay.
say that a business has to have a mask mandate.
No, but
That's I don't like mask mandates either.
see, I do. In some places, I don't mind it because I've seen too
There's
many
civil
friends of mine
liberties
who've
here
died.
that we push in this country sometimes under this stuff because I can see where the abuses happen that are really bad. I mean, it just really bothers me on a civil liberty issue. So
What about shirt mandates or shoe mandates? I mean, how many places do you go every day that's no shoes, no shirt, no
True.
service?
Yeah, but I could also go to a swim up bar in my swim trunks at in Menley Bay. So I mean, it just depends on the business. I mean, there's no, as long as it's not mandated by the government that you have to have shoes and shirts. I mean, again, if the business says it.
Well, but let's look at the other thing, John. If you don't wear shoes and shirt, there's not a chance that you might infect somebody and they die.
Well, I don't know what you've been walking in, so
if they haven't gotten the vaccine yet, Ed, and they get it and die, you're an idiot. And that's not my fault. I don't care.
I get that, but the unfortunate thing is that people who don't get vaccinated and don't follow masks and don't follow some social distancing, there's a chance that they can catch the Delta variant and they can spread it. We already have, and again, I speak from a medical community sense. We have beds in this country right now that are overflowing. We have, again, there's not enough PPE, there's not enough beds, there's not enough medical professionals to handle it.
I mean,
and the reason they're there is because people don't give a shit.
Well, and again, there's certain segments of the population that, for various and sundry reasons, have chosen that, or have thought that the vaccine, whether it was for religious reasons, mostly some political reasons on the right, and a lot of African Americans.
Yeah, I think the religious reasons are absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. I just think the religious reasons are a dodge.
That's fine. I mean, that's okay. Take that up with God.
Well, she and I talk all the time. So,
and there is a large portion of the African American community, because of what happened with the Tuskegee things, that doesn't take it. And we risk running on a civil liberties thing, setting African Americans back from being able to go to restaurants and being able to go to movies and being able to, what if stores demand, a vaccine card? Ken, I think we have to really think about, well, first off, number one, I think we all agree on one thing. The FDA has to get past the emergency use authorization, and they have to say this is fine.
They're dragging their feet.
So that nobody can use that anymore. That is not it's an experimental vaccine. Let's stop with that. Do it. You want to talk about doing something today? Do that.
Yeah, but look, you bring up communities of color. I don't want them to take the vaccine so they can go shopping. I want them to take the vaccine so they live. And we need to, do a way better job. I mean, local government, local politicians of all colors, all political bents need to do a way better job of getting into those communities and getting them educated and helping get them vaccinated. That's a real problem.
I do want to point out, though, that I have talked to friends of mine who are African American, who are of different cultures, and who have told me that, this is a quote from one of them, it's absolute nonsense for people who are black, white, blue, green, or whatever to not trust the vaccine. He said, black people need to, and this was, again, I'm going to paraphrase now because I don't have it recorded in front of me, but he said black people need to get past that. That was a dangerous time in our society where indeed black people were used as experiments by a lot of people who just thought that they weren't even humans. But this is 2021, and people need to get over that because that was decades, generations ago. So they need to, and again, but I fired back. I said, that's still their decision. You can't force it. He said, I absolutely know that, but I'm out here every single day trying to change the minds of the black communities I know to tell them, take the vaccine. We're not experimenting on you. It's the same stuff that we're giving everybody. He said it's difficult, but he says people need to get over it, and that's part of the whole politicalization that we have of this, which is people are saying, I can't take it because it's wrong, it's experimental, it doesn't work, it's going to hurt me, it's going to make me sick, which is all just nonsense. Completely.
Listen, I'm not in Atlanta, but Stacey Abrams did a very good job of getting hundreds of thousands of people of color to vote for the last election. Is she doing the same thing in Georgia now, educating, rural citizens and people of color to get a vaccine? Because as much effort as she put into the election effort, I hope she's doing the same. I hope sports personalities are doing the same. I hope actors are doing the same. I hope politicians are doing the same. And unfortunately, I don't think they are.